Why would it be tomorrow? Those headphones. Am I the problem? I think you're the problem.
No, you're the problem.
Everyone can hear me.
Everyone can hear me. No hear Gherkin? This is bullshit.
I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I've done like... Oh.
No,
yeah,
no.
my house is pretty wild right now.
I can hear you.
But I don't know who you're talking to, but I've done like dozens of these streams, so I'm kind of an expert. Let's see.
Can you hear me now? No? Fuck. Bitch.
There you go. I can hear you. You did it. Wait. Say something again. Oh God, did we lose you? Nope. You're there. I love it when it's just being weird. Are we gonna wait for Dork? I feel like Dork is slipping away from us into some weird drug gang. He's doing the I know he asked ChatGPT. The metal work. Just ChatGPT to shit out of script.
I don't know, man. The code looked pretty convincing. I don't know if you saw it. But here, I'll send it to you. I was impressed with the technical level.
Hold on. All right, where's the code? Oh, you sent it.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome.
Where the fuck is... Alright, I'll DM him.
You guys see the thing I posted about the guy on my tweet who was talking about how he works at UPS and management dropped some AI thing in their lap for logistics.
I don't read your Twitter.
But some guy was complaining or one of my shit posts about AI that he works at UPS and like they were given essentially an AI black box from on high that was just like making terrible decisions and causing people to like have to spend extra time to fix the logistics errors that it was doing.
Uh-huh.
And then somebody I think rightly asked, but that's weird because UPS, I mean, they use machine learning and AI for logistics optimization. They must be. It's like 30 years old. Like, why would they be doing that? And the guy replied with, I don't know. It's a black box. Handed it down to us. It doesn't work. People have been intentionally breaking it every morning so that we have to revert back to the old system. Just like even UPS, like people are supposed to be, you'd think they'd be kings of AI, at least optimization based machine learning for logistics.
Mm-hmm.
And they're somehow fucking that up with, I'm assuming, chatbots.
That makes sense. I
Oh,
don't
this
know.
was,
I don't know what they're
you know what
doing.
my shit post was?
I
This
don't
was
even
me
know what the
going
fuck
after,
you would use AI for as a UPS driver. Does it like sort your packages?
I have no, yeah, clearly it doesn't, right? Because UPS is just like, what is this? This is
That's what
causing chaos.
GPSs already do that. GPSs also do that.
Yeah, route optimization is different from GPS though. You have to take, it's like GPS cubed.
Yeah, but like they already have all of that.
Right.
That
Yeah.
software already exists.
Which makes it even weirder that they're like, hey, try this new AI black box. It's going to make everything better. And nobody knows what it is or how it works, and it clearly doesn't work. This was in response to me shitposting because Andrew Yang is back in the on the scene trying to stir up AI shit, joining the party right at the very end and saying how AI is going to take everybody's jobs. And this guy was just like, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not getting any response from Dork, so we're just gonna start without him,
He's
and
probably he's deep in a K-hole.
yeah, we'll just start onboarding popcorn, I guess.
He's already onboarded. He's already
Ah,
in.
perfect.
Popcorn, your email is your username. And it will send you an email for you to set your password. Just try to log in. You're in, buddy.
Yeah, also like if there's any like weird pop-up about paying, just you got that.
Yeah, just pay it.
No.
It'll be refunded. Maybe.
What's up?
Hey, hello.
Hey,
Hey,
what's
what's
up,
going
man?
on?
How's the audio? I haven't done this in the car before.
You
Terrible, but we
sound
can
like
hear
you're in
you.
a car, but
Yeah.
it sounds good.
Oh, all right, cool. Uh, so I got a couple questions, but they're all basically the same question, just in like different contexts.
Okay.
And it's so it should be pretty easy, hopefully. And it's targeted towards not the live SPX page, but the other one with all the different strikes. And specifically,
This
what
one?
I've been, yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. That's
sorry.
live too.
Yeah. I just don't remember what the actual name of it is. I think it's like GX. I don't
Yeah,
know.
bro.
GXS.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got the right page.
Quick
And
aside.
so,
Quick aside.
sorry, what was
We should hold a raffle. People who best names for shit.
What?
Thought. We need to name things so that they're
Oh,
distinguishable.
like a raffle for naming the stuff?
Yeah.
That's already got a
Contest.
name. You
Does
don't
it?
like it? You want it to pop more?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Let's
Alright.
just say that.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Link.
continue, Dance League.
Yeah. So I've been trying to focus more on this, and I just want to say I appreciate how you guys like laid everything out, because I've noticed that all the stuff that deals with Vega is on one side under the Delta chart, all the stuff that deals with Gamma is under the Gamma chart, so that makes things pretty nice. So my questions deal with the Vega chart, the Vana chart, and then also the I think it's the speed chart.
Okay.
And specifically, like I've been trying to like understand all these different charts. And so the first question, it just primarily deals with Vega and Vana and like how to like read these as it's going on. Because I understand that Vega is the volatility of Delta and then Vana is the volatility of Vega. But I'm having a hard time like understanding, because it breaks it down by strike. And so I'm just having a hard time like actually understanding what those things mean. Because from what I can tell, you have the negative, you have the relative size, and I guess time of day. So, that's like 3 by 3 by 3, so that's like 27 different combinations. But then trying to read those 3 charts together, and that's like 81. And it's like, I'm just having a hard time understanding how to read those charts.
Okay.
And like actually relevant meaning.
Yeah. Well, Vega acts as the multiplier on Delta for implied volatilities. Well, I mean, let me ask you this before I answer, actually. What are you trying to derive from them?
So I know I'm just trying to make it useful and get relevant information from it. So what I understand with like volatility is that like with equities, like if you have an increase in volatility for like the entire equity market for whatever ticker you're looking at, it's if an actual stock bullish, for an index bearish. But trying to break it down like for every single strike as opposed to like just the market in general, that I don't know how to translate that. So that's where I'm getting lost. Because I've seen this with like every single like combination where like Delta will be positive, Vega will be negative, but Vana will be positive again. Or sometimes they're correlated, sometimes they're not. And I'd give you some examples, but I mean, there's just, like I said, like 81 separate combinations if you're just looking at any 2 strikes. So
yeah,
it seems like there's a lot of information that you can get.
I mean, so let me preface this with changes in volatility on index near spot are going to be pretty minimal unless there's a large move. So, unless SPX like drops like 50 points or something. Vana and Vega are probably not going to matter a lot, but they matter a lot if there is a big shift in volatility. And so, like, when you're watching the IV curve, right, during the intraday, and you're looking at kind of how that smirk is lining up and which side has more interest, and also, like, really specifically, right around spot, you'll notice that the IV curve kind of flattens. Is a bad color for it. Hold on. Let me make sure I have this working on YouTube also, because I didn't do that last time. All right, yeah. And so, right around spot, you're going to see like the IV curve kind of come down. And it'll generally be like pretty flat at spot and at like the strike on either side of spot. Okay. And what you'll notice is that, there'll be a sharper move kind of as you move further away from spot. You'll see like, you might see gamma fall off. So like if you had your gamma line, you might see your gamma kind of fall off on either side of spot. But your IV goes, higher. And on an upside move, this means, like IV is going to kind of fall off because it's an index. And on like the downside move, IV is probably going to pick up. Well, at least like VIX will. Like you'll notice like perceptible changes in VIX if it moves outside of that range. And as far as Vana is concerned, you'll notice that you see like kind of a similar profile there, right? Like if you look at Vana at spot, it's kind of nothing going on, right? But if you start to get away from spot, you'll start to see the gamma's sensitivity to changes in implied volatility. And so what that means is that as IV increases or IV drops on those moves, that the gamma is going to respond more so to that change in volatility at those strikes.
So you're saying Vana is connected to Gamma?
Huh?
So you're saying that in these cases, the Vana is connected to is influencing the Gamma?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. Because I know like the IV is like lowest near spot.
I mean, Vega's
But,
always going to be highest at spot.
uh,
Well, Vega's going to be highest just out of the money. And then, Vana is going to be higher further out. And so, yeah.
So I guess like if I can, I don't know, like give an example, for example. What are these charts on the left saying that, like, for example, let's say delta is negative and it's basically flat, but Vega is incredibly positive, but then Vana, if I'm Vana being the volatility of Vega, is also positive, for example.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to have more of an impact from the change in IV at that strike. Because, the Vana is more sensitive on there's more Vana there, which means that there's, more Vega, and the Vega is more sensitive, which is going to affect the deltas, IV shifts, and then because it's all zero DTEs, that's going to, have an impact on your gamma, right? Because, that's going to be the rate of change in your delta.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, basically, like if you're moving into those strikes, they're going to have a not necessarily like a draw, but they're going to increase hedging requirements as they move at the money and in the money beyond what is just on, the gamma or the delta, because it's going to also have this additional layer of IV sensitivity, and you're going to have a larger shift in implied volatility because of, where that IV sensitivity picks up away from spot.
And so does
But you'll also, that Vana will flatten out as it gets to spot.
yeah, I've noticed that a lot. Can you go more in detail on how like the relative sizes and whether it's positive or negative for each of those like influences anything, or is that just noise that I'm misattributing to like some information that I don't know how to analyze?
It's not noise. You might be misattributing its importance.
Because I see it and it's just like, okay, so to give you an example, like I see the delta, I see it like, I don't know, it flattens out a certain strike outside, above spot, for example, one or two strikes, as an example. Yeah. Then like the Vega will be at it'd be a negative number, and it's really high. And so I'm like, okay, the IV once we hit here is negative, and for this one strike, and I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what that actually means.
The IV is not negative.
The IV is not negative.
Yeah, the IV is not negative. The Vega is negative. So the sensitivity of delta to changes in IV is negative, not the IV is always positive.
Okay, so what can you clarify what you mean when you say like the change to the sensitivity is negative? Like what that actually means? Because I think that's where I might be getting a little bit lost.
This gets tricky with the hedging requirements. I mean, Around spot, I just don't. I can't think of a scenario where it really makes a difference. Like right at spot, I don't know. JFresh, are you there? JFresh? Or you
Sorry,
can.
I was
Oh.
doing my taxes. What was the question?
He wants to know the impact. I'm not. I'm really thinking there isn't much of one, but he wants to know the impact of a negative Vega at spot.
Well, not necessarily at spike, but like when you see it on the graph, how you're supposed to interpret that, like what it can mean. So it can be at spot, it can be outside of spot.
Yeah,
I'm just
negative
trying to understand the concept.
negative Vega basically means short.
Wait, what did you say?
So negative Vega basically means short Vega.
Yeah.
And so if you see a huge pile of negative Vega, it implies that there's a big pile of people who are sensitive to increases in volatility at that point.
Yeah. Yeah,
Could you dumb that
let's
down just a little bit?
Sorry?
Could you dumb that down just a little bit? I'm just trying to make it.
I mean, it's gonna
so it's
both of them are gonna act as an amplifier of the delta that is already at that strike. So if you've got like a big pile of Vega and you got a big pile of delta, you're gonna have a big pile of delta just automatically. And then Vana, as that Vega goes in the money, right? It's going to have an additive effect on the delta at that strike if volatility is increasing. So like at spot, the bottom of the IV curve is going to be pretty flat, right? But outside of spot, as you move outside of spot, volatility will shift. And as that volatility shifts, so does the sensitivity of the delta to that volatility, right? And so, the Vega goes up, and the rate at which the Vega goes up is going to be your Vana. And so basically, like today, if we had lost 5650, we probably would have started to accelerate to the downside as IV started to move up and that strike started to go in the money. Right. So those bigger bars of, of Vega and Vana are going to tell you where like price action is likely to continue to pick up momentum. Like, I mean, really, Vana and Speed are kind of like momentum indicators as far as the options chain is concerned. And so, like, as those strikes go in the money, you are going to get more and more momentum. And so, if you have like a ramp of Vana to the downside, and those strikes start going in the money, you're going to start picking up more and more momentum, and you're going to get a larger and larger change in IV, which is going to then bleed over, and amplify, multiplicatively affect the amount of delta being hedged in that direction, right? So, like, if we lost 50 and like started to move down, and we like started to move up this like ramp that you can see here in Vega down to 30, you're gonna get like an increasing effect on that hedge, even though there's not a lot of delta there right now. Like if you look under 50 on delta, it's pretty low. But like as those strikes go in the money, the Vega and Vana, like the Vana is gonna pick up, which is gonna amplify the Vega, which is gonna amplify the delta there. And so even though it doesn't look like there's a lot of delta there because of that implied volatility exposure, that delta is going to move up in response to moneyness moving into it and through it. And speed is the same idea for gamma. And you can also extrapolate that and consider the effect of Vega and Vana on delta is going to have an impact on gamma.
Okay. Because sometimes I've noticed that like Vega, Vana, and Speed are all in alignment, and that was going to be the other question I was going to ask: if there's any significance when they align, They don't align. But let me go ahead and just make sure that because I think I understand what you were saying. Let me try and like rehash this back to you just to make sure that I don't have any like misconceptions.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, the best way to think about both Vega and Vana are either as accelerants or decelerants of the delta. And so, as an example, if we end up having like either a ramp or some massive spike where Vega and Vana are negative, for example, those could be momentum indicators that would accelerate downward price action. The same would be true in alternatively, if you end up having like a big spike in Vega and Vana, like upward spotted, and we're going up, that could act as a decelerant to any momentum that we end up having.
Yes. Because IV would fall and it would crush the drop in IV would crush the delta spot, which would, drop the responsiveness of that delta to changes. And I mean, you've been around a long time. You've probably seen this play out in like a larger scale where it's more important. Like when we test VN on SPX and all of a sudden like price action just stops. Like to the upside, like it's just like it just turns into like a grind, and then it keeps like it grinds up and it fails and it grinds up and it fails and so yeah, I mean it's kind of the same effect just on a much smaller scale.
Okay. All right. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
think of it. Oh, you know what? Here's a great way to think of it. Just think of it like gas and brakes. So to the downside, it's that negative Vega is going to act as an accelerant. To the upside, that positive Vega is going to act as a decelerant.
And that's when we're going down, and then when we're going up, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Problem. Cool.
Feel free to kick me out. I don't know what button I need to press on.
All right, no worries. Dork, I invited you up here. Get your ass in here, man.
I have to invite him again because he lost the button. All right.
Where is he? Oh, there he is.
What's up, guys? Sorry, I'm cooking dinner right now.
No worries.
High on pork chops.
That was a tough question to answer because I'm not sure I wasn't sure what the question was.
Yes, I was listening in, and there was a lot of stuff that I was hearing happen. This guy wanted to just get the full rundown of derivatives, I guess.
I think we covered it. I hope so. It seemed like he understood what he needed to know to trade it, so that's what matters.
Yeah, there's a fine line there between providing data and providing trading strategies. You kind of have to make your own. But we can tell you what it is, but
so
it's
something
hard for us
that
to tell you a trading strategy unless we've actually tested it ourselves. And then if it works, we're not going to tell you.
yeah. So I mean, like in terms of like trading the Greeks, the one thing you can do that's really helpful is be able to price your entries and exits by looking at your contract's delta, because then you're like, okay, if stock X moves up $1, its price is going to go down by 30 cents. I think this only has $1 range, so I'm going to put a limit order right here. Right? Like you can do that with the Greeks, and it's really reliable.
Yeah, like if you have like a confirmed like downside move, like you move through like, say we move through the delta flip and you go and look and like Vana doesn't pick up for a couple more strikes, or there's some Vega out of the money to the downside. You could use that to like plan your scalp and enter your option before it prices up on the move and implied volatility.
Yeah, I'm more so just saying from like a perspective of like trying to price your contract that you want to buy at a different like spot price. Like you can use Delta for that, and that's really easy to do. You can do it on a napkin really quick, and figure out a rough idea of your like limit orders and stuff. It's decent tool for that.
My property taxes went up 12% last year. Bullshit.
Whoa, that's inflation for you, buddy.
What's
Inflation is controlled.
I was quoting Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I need to go back and watch that episode. Money's always moving.
You need to watch the one where it's the gang inflates, I think is what it's called.
Oh, I thought this was the one where they like create their own currency for Patty's Pub.
No, this is the one where they all like are like they're talking about inflation and how they fix the economy through loans and spending money and shit. Like they basically try to explain the economy, do a terrible job, and then all end up Ponzi scheming each other.
Nice.
It's an amazing episode, but anyways, I digress.
Nobody's asking any questions, so we can digress all we want.
Yeah, we can really just talk about whatever we want to, I guess.
Well,
the market crash on
does
Monday?
anybody? We're not crashing on Monday.
So, yeah.
Why not?
Because we have to see if people we might. The probability is very high.
I mean, historically speaking, it's fairly high, yeah. But it's more so just that there's a lot of losses sitting on the books based on a very naive point of view.
Yeah, there are. Those is nasty losses.
Yeah.
That's a lot of losses. And unfortunately, like, not enough of a bounce to really hedge them off. And they're eating the losses, because otherwise they would have just rolled the shit out instead of closing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're trying to. I mean, to some degree. I mean, when you look at the way the leverage curve has been evolving, they've definitely been trying to reposition.
Yeah.
Oh, they've been shorting vol hard but we haven't really bounced. We've just kind of like really lip-dicked air flat.
I wonder how much of that is like I wonder how much of that is just that fucking insane downward pressure from Charm, though.
Oh. Oh.
I mean, I know a lot of the like SPX options were already basically at 1 delta, because they're further, like the AM expiry ones were further up the chain.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know how much Charm. For the reason you just described, there's so much saturation in delta already. I don't know. We could look at. Ooh.
Tell me more.
I was going to say we could look at volume. If we go to Greeks by strike, all expiries, and then look at the trade date range. We need to add like a ghost feature, like 314. Let's say like puts at 5,700. Oh, I'm on Gamma. Hold on. The OI is minus 45,000 on 314. And A minus 39. So yeah, they're closing a few, but there's still a lot out there. Still mostly open. I think if anything, 50, did that one go up? 48. 5650 went up. So they're rolling them down. Not out. Here we are. So the 5650, 7584. Yeah, it looks like they're rolling them out a little bit, but still, I mean, for the most part, they're still there.
Look at the shit deeper in the money, though. Like, a lot of that's not getting rolled out.
No.
There's just, like, a fuck ton. Also, I wanted to point out that like, a shitload of calls on those synthetic longs at 5,000 and 4,000. Those are falling off tomorrow. There's still a lot of OI on those two contracts, like further, well, those two strikes further out, but a lot less of it than there was, and I think like 135,000 are gonna fall off of the, or well, it's the yeah, 196,000 calls at the 5,000 strike and 135,000 calls at the 4,000 strike. And then 143,000 puts and 212,000 puts.
Yeah, I was going to say, it kind of looks like they rolled out some of it, but they mostly sold more vol lower and then rolled out some of it later. So
Ooh, we got a
trying to
question.
hang on. Oh, thank God.
Let's go to the phones. Welcome to Pickles at Night.
Hey
What's
guys.
up, Pluto?
Hey, how are y'all?
What's up, Plato?
Hey, so I guess it's probably fairly easy questions for y'all, but so previously before I was, starting to look at y'all's data platform, on your streams you always use like the EMAs for charts. And they kind of correspond, like as those EMAs are converging or starting to crossover, they correspond to the flips, either a gamma or a delta flip. Is that just pretty much coincidence because there's less market maker participation and they're naturally going to converge because
No,
there's less volatility,
the
or is
delta
that
gamma
just
flip is also
completely
a
unrelated?
representation of like the market maker's neutral over time. So or like the 0 point for those Greek values over time. And the EMA is an exponential, like it's your exponential moving average, so it's like a front weighted historic look at price action. I think if you overlaid those two on the 1 minute, they would not have a high degree of correlation. But I mean, there are some similarities in like.
I mean, if you took the most popular EMA, like for like short term, like ultra short term trading, and you watched it with, our data, you might find some like spots where they coincide, right? But I wouldn't necessarily call that, any sort of definite connection. It's just that a lot of momentum traders use EMAs, and a lot of market makers and other people know that momentum traders use EMAs, and so you'll see optioning positioning changing around those EMAs.
Okay, so yeah, so it is more just coincidental at the end.
No,
Well, I mean,
it's
not
a
totally,
product of
but
like our trading environment. Momentum traders win. So
It's also part of
right.
how like markets just work, right? Placing
yeah,
a bet on the market changes the outcome of the market. Or placing a bet
Yeah.
on an outcome.
yeah, and this is a
changes
direct
changes
consequence of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so I have like two more questions for y'all. Then
Yeah.
again, they might have happened in earlier roundtables, but so I can't for the life of me figure out the unit. So you'll have the units for Gex over there in millions and billions, but if you look at the other live data chart, the Gex units for the y-axis is completely different. So
This is
while representationally it looks the same, but like I can't understand what y'all are doing with the units
this is
for the
gamma.
y-axis.
This is gamma,
Yeah.
and then Gex is gamma exposure.
Okay. So you're multiplying it by. You're putting in dollars that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the dollar value exposures. And then when you're looking at this chart, this is the gamma on the contracts.
So is there a reason why you're not just showing gamma exposure on here as well? Like I'm guessing there's additional information you want to glean by not just showing gamma exposure, correct? Or no?
Are we talking about what's on his screen right now?
We're talking about, yeah, because
Gamma
these are
exposure is
these
there.
charts are gamma, and then these charts are like dollar, like notional gamma exposure.
Oh, so what are you asking specifically then about which
So
page?
He's asking why they're
just
different.
looked like,
The units question.
yeah, it looked like it was
What?
purpose. Like y'all did that purposefully. You wanted on one live chart to have, gamma exposure in one unit, and then on a different chart you wanted it in a different unit. And I was just wondering what the philosophy around that was.
Just looking at size of positions in terms of, right? Because that's how people assess risk, is how much money they're going to gain or lose. And then the other page shows you the notional, just the value of the delta or the Greek. It should show it all in various places.
Yeah.
We're still kind of tweaking the live page. People are complaining, and we're trying to think about the best way to get it to look. Still not happy with it, but work in progress. It's a little better every day.
So
I prefer
live?
I prefer to use the gamma exposure because it gives you a better understanding of like the dollar hedge as price moves and like the the accumulation of that as it moves to a peak versus like just the value of the gamma on the strike. Because I think it helps determine flows more easily. And that's why I chose to have like Gex as the exposure there instead of just putting gamma. But I mean, it ultimately, yeah, it doesn't make a difference. It's just an easier way of looking at. I think it's an easier way of looking at the data set. Like if I told you,
Okay.
oh, you're gonna gain 20 gamma to the upside of this move, what the fuck? Or if I'm like, there's $2 billion per dollar to the upside from here to here, that's gonna make a lot more sense.
Yeah, and that's how
So
people are assessing risk.
Yeah. So then what's kind of average or typical then? Are there typical ranges that we should be looking
No,
out
and
for within the gamma?
it expands into end of day too. I mean, what's important is where it goes negative and positive, really. But I mean, notionally, if one pile of gamma is a little bigger than the other, that might kind of skew the the way the way price is likely to gravitate.
Yeah, so I think you've mentioned that in a previous roundtable that you look at the gamma and look for two type of pillars to kind
Yeah.
of look for a price target as far as an upward target. So
Well, I mean,
okay, that makes sense.
the gamma to the if you have a large pile of gamma to the upside, it's going to be like kind of resistive, whereas like large piles of gamma to the downside are going to be a little bit supportive. But that has more to do with like the market maker's behavior as you approach those larger piles.
Okay.
And it just gives you a sense of like where people's piled up, where people are interested, where lines are
Yeah, and
drawn.
then remember also when you're like looking at notional gamma that a lot of like SPX hedging is being done over on futures, where it's much easier to like equate those two values, like those like raw dollar values, and eventually we're going to be adding ES and NQ and stuff like that to this and building out cross comparison models and stuff. and I think once we get there, like that having gex per strike as we trade through the intraday is a lot more valuable, at least in understanding like the amount of hedging going on.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then so I think in your it was like your pickles picks this morning, you talked about the gamma curve and it actually even being a sharper. So if you look at the gamma curve now on the chart that you have, it looks like it's a fairly it has a fairly linear slope for a while, right? But you were saying like more like you thought it was actually even steeper to the downside than what it was actually portraying on the actual curve. Was that just your interpretation of the probability
No,
of
I mean,
today's events,
no,
or
no, no. Like you could
mathematically,
just
like it just
yeah. I
wasn't
mean, you
showing
could
it?
just look at like the change in delta per strike to the downside, and it was just, slightly greater than the change in delta per strike to the upside.
Oh, okay. So
Even
you're
though,
actually
yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
value.
Even though it, it kind of just, if you just look at it, it looks flat. But if you're looking here, as gamma moves down, that slope actually does start to, like, the rate of gamma to the downside like slows down around here, like 55, 70.
Hmm.
Right, but then there's actually like an uptick here where like the rate of like, and then the rate of gamma is lower to on the upside, like the upside of like we pretty much closed where we opened, I think. So it was last night it was just, like a little bit lower to the upside than it was to the downside. And then, as you move up that, then it's also easier to fall, right? Because that change in gamma to the downside is then greater.
Okay.
But
All
yeah,
right.
I'm
And then
just looking. I'm looking at the change, like the change in total gamma per strike
yeah, and you're
when
just
I'm
doing some
discussing
mental
that.
math.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. I mean, at first blush, it just looks fairly constant between
it
until you get
does.
fairly low.
Yeah, but I mean, you can always go. You can always go to like the individual strikes and look at it there, right? And you can kind of see it's weighted a little bit more heavily to the downside, and
No,
even
yeah,
weightier.
there it makes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it.
So that's, I mean, that's just a more granular view of kind of the same thing.
Right. Okay, and then I guess my last question is on the live data by strike. So Dork, last time you were mentioning how like you just kind of look at the two halves between the spot on that strike. Do y'all do that for basically every graph? Like looking at like so charm right now, you're just saying, man, that just kind of looks like it's more like 70-30 as far as it being negative charm versus positive charm, and you're just kind of trying to look at that subsection to see which one's heavier weighted upwards and downwards. Is that how y'all are kind of looking at that throughout the day?
I
Yeah,
mean,
something like that. Me
yes, but
personally,
I
yeah.
mean, things like gamma and delta, I mean, are definitely very important, like at spot. Charms a
Yeah,
little different.
I
But
mean, so like adding like so I was talking about adding them up, right?
Yeah.
And so adding them up is a really good thing to do to get a really like it's basically like you're just doing a napkin math. Let's just kind of figure out, is this mostly positive, mostly negative, you know, and then you look at the concentrations, right? And that's why we give it to you by strike instead of just a straight number. And the by strike information, Girk's absolutely correct. When you reach high concentrations of delta, gamma, or one of those guys, like, there's gonna be people paying attention to that.
Yeah.
But that's just for me. Like when I look at it, I do a quick addition if I'm feeling frisky. But mostly just seeing where the concentrations are at.
Yeah, I was just interested in how, I mean, because obviously you can't look at every chart at every second, right? So you can only
Yeah.
kind of go potentially just glance at certain charts at certain times. And if
Oh,
you're
that's right. So
quickly
so the
looking, at this
That's right.
chart? Is that what you're kind of doing? Like just trying to like
Yeah.
spot the big peaks and then mentally just trying to get a notional value above and below that spot.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's right. I remember now. This was about a conceptual thing where I said the next time we're near the Dex flip or the Gex flip, see, kind of look at all the bars and see if they roughly add up to zero. Or if we're way
Right.
above it or way below it, you look at it and you see like, are there mostly negatives or mostly positives on the net chart, right?
Yeah,
And
so I
that'll
was
give
just
you a
doing
good
that throughout
conceptual
the day though.
understanding of what's going on.
Right. So I just started doing that throughout the day, right? Just
Mhm.
looking at it, adding it up and trying to, get a weighting one way or the other and seeing what that meant. And I was just curious after that comment if that's what you do throughout the day on it as well.
I mean, you don't really need to. I mean, you kind of do with some of them, but like the really hyper localized things, uh, all of a sudden the higher order derivatives become more important because spot is immediately traversing this point. But like throughout the day, like if I want to, yeah, if I want to see if we're in like let's say negative Vega, right? I would just pop open this chart, look at all the bars, and be like, do I see more negative or positive? It's obviously not precise, but I see more negative bars in the chart than positive charts, so I'm led to believe there's more negative than positive. So we're in negative Vega territory. Like I just really, really rough, like off the cuff, totally not scientific. Like, I mean, and it's a vibe, unfortunately. I'm vibe quanting when I'm doing that.
I mean,
But
a lot of what I'm looking for is places where hedging behavior, like dynamic hedging behavior, is going to shift, as spot crosses that strike. And so I'm usually looking more at like where things break. And like I'll talk about that during the day. I'll be like, if we go to X, then like that's gonna open up like a continuation to Y, right? And that's usually what I'm focused on, and I'm usually focused on those like larger strikes, but not always, right? Sometimes you get like you're like near the end of the day and you cross kind of a fairly small strike, but maybe like it's got a lot of speed, and that strike goes in the money, and so the delta goes from like nothing to 100, and then you can really start to like accelerate as IV picks up, especially at the end of the day or like right before that expiration rate when IV is really really high, and but all throughout the day I'm kind of looking for that. And then when I'm looking at charm, I would say most of the time like the big effects of charm are realized like at major strikes like 5700, 5650, 5600, maybe a little bit at like 2575, like those larger concentrations of psychological interest, right? But generally when you like kind of pop the charm chart open in the morning, you can kind of see which way things are a little bit more heavily weighted, and where more advantageous closes for bulls will be, where those charm flows might be a little bit positive at the end of the day, and then and that shifts, and that's why you have the live charm, but and then also where things would be more bearish.
yeah,
Okay.
And I mean that delta decay can drive some hedging flows, especially like as you move into close.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. That's all I had, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for popping on.
yeah, good question.
Got Nitu coming out.
Oh boy.
Oh Lord, here we go. I got a DM for JFresh. He's gonna love it.
Version 2.2.
Even better.
Dork is starting work on version 2.11.
No, 2.1.1. Okay, I haven't gone through that many.
All right.
The important thing is to never get any version fully deployed, just working on the next one.
Me too.
It's Zeno's paradox when it comes to deployment.
I was on mute. Sorry.
They were.
Now I'm depressed.
That's true.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, it's fine. I'll get over it quickly. Hey, I've
That's not
charm.
that's not how depression works.
What? I'm supposed to
Did you just
drown
lie
them in.
to us?
I would never lie to you, Jay Fresh. Never once.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. No.
All right, give us your question.
All right. Charm. I want to talk about charm.
All
Gert,
right.
you're a pretty charming guy, so
Thanks.
I'm gonna lean on you for this.
Lean on Jay Fresh. Make him answer something. He's been
No,
doing his
he's
taxes
way
this whole
too
time.
short. Dude, I mean, maybe he like.
Isn't
maybe,
that perfect for leaning on?
No.
You can like
Yeah,
lean on
maybe if I put my
you
hand.
can lean on my shoulder.
I'd have to put my hand on your head and then kind of lean and be awkward, and I might get a stiff back.
He's into that.
No.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So we have all this charm that's weighing down on spot, and it's expiring tomorrow morning, effectively. Is there a way, aside from Dork's napkin math that he kept referring, is there a way to more quantitatively measure or gauge how much charm like today, and kind of more the macro picture is weighing things down, trying to gauge like how that might affect price action?
Yeah, we'll just go look at it.
Yeah, so you can look at the charm there. What I've been looking at recently is it's like on TradingView, but I've been looking at the degree to which they've been shorting vol. So basically looking at VIX and how much it's dropping.
Yeah.
And looking at that in relation to how much price is rising. And VIX is dropping much harder than price is rising, which means a couple of things. One, that they're shorting a shitload of vol to try to keep this propped up. And it is underneath that shorting vol is persistent selling. Now, whether that persistent selling is all charm, all just other people selling for other, some combination of both is hard to tease out. But I think given the situation that we're in and where we are on the macro leverage curve, being highly over to the left-hand side over the minimum leverage on puts, that a lot of short puts are underwater, which means be a lot of charm. Now you have to be careful because as we kept going too far down, right? We talked, Gherkin and I were mentioning this a little bit earlier. You can get so far away from the strike that delta's already won. So then the charm, even though it's like way in the money, because charm for those or delta for those puts are already -1, they can't get more over time. So their charm essentially saturates if you go too far. That being said, I do think that there is a lot of charm weighing us down that's trying to be offset by a lot of more sold puts that are just collapsing the VIX, but still not rocketing the price. So I think that there is a negative charm flow that we are observing.
I mean, they've rocketed price pretty well this morning.
That's temporary though. It just keeps collapsing, right?
Yeah,
and a lot of that price rocket was
Sorry, what?
So this morning, I mean, a lot of that pump was selling a shitload of vol, and even though they did that, and they shorted vol even harder than they did the last time we were up here, they couldn't get it past. They couldn't get it past the old high, right? They just kind of got right to the same. So even
there's also,
more
I mean, there's
short vol
actually like also
got to the same high, which means there was more selling
there.
underneath.
Sorry, what was that, Gert?
I'll wait. Just
Okay.
want him to
Oh,
finish
I
his
was just gonna
thought.
say, so yes, I mean we're seeing sell pressure being masked underneath the high volatility of those shorts.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's another
Um,
kind of effect there too, right? If you take into consideration if you want to think more about the charm and how it's affected by price action, if we have all of these out of the money sold puts, right? Let me pull up the SPX chain real quick here. Oh yeah, okay. So this already rolled, so that's not going to be very helpful. So you have all these out of the money sold puts, right? And as price moves up, some of those out of the money sold puts that are already -1, right, are gonna start to move as well, right? They're gonna move to like 9.7 and 9.0 and so on, right? As price moves up, and so what you saw today, you saw us like really take off in the morning on that big vol short. Like VIX VX just got slammed, and price rose up really quickly. We went up 50 fucking basis points over like a couple candles. Where's today's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what time I woke up and when I was making my coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, we went up like 120 BPS in like an hour, right? But the second that momentum to the upside slowed, right?
Mhm.
And the IV on those contracts like normalized, and the contracts that are in the money, those sold puts that are still in the money above spot, those start decaying, right? And that immediately started putting some downward pressure on spot, because we went up high enough and fast enough that some of the delta fell off of those negative 1.0 contracts. But as we kind of stalled out there, that delta they're going to start decaying closer to 1, and that's going to just provide some nice downward pressure on spot. And we kind of we saw that alongside that in the money call profit taking, right? And that's kind of eroding the support, while the the in the money sold puts are decaying to 1, and the combination of both of those two things pushed us through what was like should have been a fairly solid support above delta neutral and above that 5700 strike where there was so much interest.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, just to give you a sense of like the magnitude of this, the last time VIX was under 20, we were trading above 5,900.
No, that is a good way to quantify it.
I
So
think. Did you also ask a question of like what happens after it all expires?
Yes, let's
You
say
asked
that I
that.
did. I
Okay,
did.
I
I
thought
did
you did.
now. Yeah.
I thought that was the start of your question. Maybe I missed that as it evolved, but
I have no idea, to be honest, but let's go with that.
yeah. Well, I've gotten a lot of questions of like what happens to all this after fires, like what happens to all that hedge. The hedge just disappears, it goes poof, right? Like a lot of people are expecting like this massive change after an Opex. Like you'll always see right before Opex, like, oh, there's this many $1 trillion worth of nominal of delta that's going to be expiring this Opex. It's the biggest Opex ever. You should expect a lot of volatility. And then inevitably, like the next week, it's just like flat and boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's largely because the market makers have hedged away that effect, like that expiration effect, pretty much shortly after those contracts were open. So, at least for the SPX, which is the largest thing by far, you open contracts that have some delta effect on the market, and then they hedge the exact opposite, right? With futures, all of this is cash settled, right? So at the end of the day, if there's $1 trillion worth of delta on the market and it disappears, well, there's $1 trillion of futures on the other side that just kind of cancel each other out at the end. So then you just exchange cash, but there no additional buying or selling has occurred whole after they expire. So what's really key is what is the positioning going in to Opex? Who won? Who lost? How badly did they lose? And what are they likely to do next? Right. So it's like if short vol was able to get this back up to 5,950 or 6,000 by close tomorrow, I would be like, all right, well, they saved it. It's over. We're going back to status quo until some other, event that until Trump does something stupid like canceling the Department of Education or something, which he would never do. That'd be so dumb.
Oh, never. No.
Um, and the reason for that is because, well, short vol saved their live, die another day. So probably the next week they're just start selling more vol. But if that short vol position fucked, which is what they're likely about to have happen, it's much less likely that they're just going to jump right back in with reckless abandon, or even be allowed to by their margin offers to do that again. So what happens when the market's been held up by short vol and short vol finally gets screwed and maybe doesn't want to jump back in the next, and all that's left are the people that are selling because everybody's super overweight stocks.
There's just a vacuum. There's literally no support because it's that short vol selling has been what's supporting and pushing things up.
Yeah.
If it's just not there, then
Well, so here,
there's nothing there.
I have a decent analogy here. So March 20th marks like the day that the market started tanking. Okay. Or the day before, I think.
Feb 20th.
March 20th.
March 20th?
March
Or
20th.
sorry,
is,
Feb 20th. Feb 20th.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Feb 20th, right, was basically the start of the downtrend, okay? Since Feb 20th, puts in terms of delta have gone from 1.31 trillion notional delta hedge to 2.64 trillion notional delta hedge. Right, put values have gone from 134 billion to 264 billion. So they've almost doubled in value in that amount of time. Just to give you an idea, if you were just naked short puts and they just doubled in value, you'd be right around 100% loss. But that's naked short, which nobody is, right? So obviously you need to manage your expectations of what that means in terms of someone who is short puts. What would they actually be down? If they're naked, 100%. If they're not naked, somewhere between that and zero if they've perfectly hedged.
So what? Yeah, and
Just because we were talking about like the whole idea of if short vol is fucked or not, right? So short vol necessarily implies that they're short puts mostly.
okay. Yeah, right. So I mean, what Jay Fresh is saying is a more simplified version of like, hey, they've been doing this. If they're hesitant to continue doing this because of the losses, then what happens? And you're saying, well, and you're coming in and giving maybe a little more context, like, hey, they're not going to just be
Well, that's to give you an
YOLO
idea of,
naked short puts. They're going to have some hedging, so it's their total losses and ability, to continue things isn't going to be fully diminished from this. So then,
no, but it's not that great.
right. So then, what happens next? Because that's kind of the
Well, I
simplified
mean, ultimately,
version of the question.
for the market makers, ideally nothing because they're already hedged off. But for the
Well, the market
person,
makers, yeah.
but for the person who has this position, I mean, that just comes down to, once again, their ability to hedge off. And I mean, ideally, they did not lose anything, but in a realistic world, there's probably been some absorptions and stuff. But I mean, it's all speculation. Until we actually see how it unfolds, right? Is that participant going to continue to participate, or are they going to no longer participate? You know, we can see those effects over time, but trying to decide or determine whether or not they're going to return to the market, they probably are, but in what capacity, right? There's just a ton of questions you can ask about this.
Oh, here's a question based off of that, Dork. And this maybe Girk is better suited to answer it, but I'm not saying that you're not. Um, what's to say that these participants are one trick ponies?
No, they're not. I mean,
Yeah,
they're definitely not. They're definitely hedged. They're definitely going to hedge out ahead of their risk. I mean, it's not like they just sold puts and they blew up. Or generally speaking, I'm sure there were retail traders like Theta Gang and stuff that did that, but you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that on the institutional level at all.
no.
You gotta hope not, you know.
So I mean,
So
it hurts, right? If you're net one way and all your puts blow up, yeah, that's gonna suck, but it's not gonna like take out your fund or anything. You might be less inclined to leverage back up into those same or similar positions because market dynamics have changed really dramatically over the last 4 weeks.
that's what I'm getting at is yeah, this has been quite the bull run the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah, butter.
yeah, and just because now they got a little egg on their face, they're not necessarily going to go back to what they've been doing the last 2 years. The dynamics have changed. They might, might be something similar or something slightly different or drastically different. It's-
Well, I mean, yeah,
Right.
if you look at like really something really simple, like if you look at like the historic vol and the current IV, you'll notice that like 30-day historic vol is still just a touch under like the IV 30. That's a and it's come down like IV 30's come down really sharply over the last week and a half
Mhm.
from where we were hitting like highs of like 26 27. But during that period, as volatility starts to normalize with the passage of time, um, that's a really dangerous place to sell a lot of volatility because options are way overpriced relative to their historic performance. But you're taking on because it hasn't normalized very much. You're taking on a ton of risk entering into their short vol positions. And I think more what we're seeing is not that they don't have the money to do it or it's impossible it's impossible to do it or anything like that. It's just there's a lot of caution in doing it. And so we're seeing that accumulation of sold puts to the downside build. But it's only been in the last like 2 days that we've really seen it build rapidly. And that's because we had a bunch of like macro events and we had event fall off and that presented some shorting opportunities and those were pretty continuous like day over day. And we haven't had a lot of instability from Trump. The narrative has stayed fairly consistent. Like there's Ukraine peace talks and there's tariffs coming, but the reciprocal tariffs aren't implemented yet. And so there's enough calm in the market right now that we're seeing a little bit more interest in the accumulation of that short vol positioning. But I think, you know, a week ago we saw no one wanting to sell puts. The market was moving up largely on bought calls. Those kind of have a tendency due to incentive to collapse anyway. And so we'd bounce and then we'd fall right back and we'd bounce and we'd fall right back again on the intraday trading. And a lot of that's like people are playing the long vol, which I know we use like the Nave assumption and stuff, but generally speaking, in like a low volatility environment on SPX, you're seeing all of the participants selling vol. They're selling calls and puts. And it's only been, since volatility has been very high that you start to see larger concentrations of like long puts and long calls near the money. Where they're taking, like really, really like heavy directional positioning, like not even like spreads, just just directional positioning. And so, yeah, I mean, all of that kind of like factors in, because, you know, if the market's moving up on like people buying a bunch of calls, then, you know, you're gonna see short vol come in on the shorter dated options, but you're not going to see anybody want to short vol like, you know, 30 days out, where they're taking like that massive risk.
Yep.
Yeah, and generally too, I mean, the short, a lot of the short vol, at least in terms of volume, is on speeds. And a lot of that is some cash flowing from otherwise long hedge position, like long put hedge positions and things like that. And market makers love it because it helps them balance their book. It helps them balance longs with their shorts, at least on the intraday basis. You remember, like back in August, I think it was August 8th of last year, when like basically the market failed to make for like 20 minutes or whatever it was, and VIX went to 60. That was essentially just nobody was selling sold puts. All these market makers found themselves for a brief moment unhedged on vol. So they're like, well, we'll sell you contracts, but we're gonna sell them to you for an insane price because we can't risk selling it for less. So the spreads blew out and nobody traded them. And then once the short vol and the zero DTs came back in, it kept things under control. So the less, just in general going forward, the less that people feel comfortable selling vol on the intraday, the higher VIX and the higher spreads are going to be in general, as market makers need to get compensated for their risk elsewhere.
Yep, that's why the spreads blew out. So if you wanted to sell something, you were going to get a really shitty, crappy price, and if you wanted to buy something, you were going to overpay like crazy.
So after all of that, none of you have said what's happening on Monday.
I already said we're crashing.
It's true.
I like your conviction.
I
These other two yahoos are mammy-pamming around.
Well, it's impossible to predict, right? I mean, like it's a great. You've got them making correct.
I don't think we're crashing without a catalyst. If a catalyst comes up over the weekend, I'll have the same conviction that Jay Fresh does. But
what about the catalyst that it just came out recently? I think it came out today that Microsoft canceled a $12 billion contract with CoreWeave. Why OpenAI opened a $12 billion contract with CoreWeave so that they could both try to keep their sinking party going for a little bit longer.
Oh my god!
Is that a catalyst?
God.
probably not.
That's not a catalyst. That's just accounting magic.
Yeah.
It should be. Yeah, the people that lose,
I know.
the people that lose $5 billion a year pay CoreWeave $12 billion somehow.
Right? Yeah. That's dude. I feel like I hope Satya fucking chucked a glass against a wall thinking about doing that.
Well, we already have video footage of him wringing his hands and pretending to beat Sam Altman's dead corpse in an interview.
Rage gooning. Yeah, he was rage gooning hard.
Yeah.
God, that's terrible, dude. Whatever.
Yeah, it really sucks when you appoint a CEO to your business who's an absolute moron and does all these stupid middle management
I don't think
consultant
Bill Gates
nonsense.
cares.
Oh, Bill Gates doesn't care at all. He's
Middle
rich.
management or micromanagement?
He's still trying to figure out how to make graphing work.
Well, dude, like, it's not. It is a middle management thing. I mean, this is a dude who, Microsoft's business model is helping businesses. In a perfect world, but at the same time, they definitely latched onto this crazy hype train, and I think that they're realizing what everyone's realizing very slowly, which is that
Right, because
it's not exactly a money printer.
he's not a technician, right? He's just a glorified manager. So all he sees is growth in user base on OpenAI. They're like fastest run to 100 million ever. And they saw a growth opportunity, and that's it. And then it turned out that the product sucked, and it still sucks. So then they spent hundreds of billions of dollars to try to make it not suck, and it still sucks. And they're just like, well, fuck.
Well, that was the question I asked you early in the chat. What does it actually do? How does this actually make someone productive? Because
It
it's
doesn't.
just a chat bot. It does and Jensen in that thing earlier this week is like,
Why do
we're
why
gonna
do I
we're
have to
gonna
answer?
automate things. It's
Why
like,
do
no,
you and
you
I have to answer that question? They're the ones who've been telling us for 2 years that it's super useful and wonderful. Why can't they show us how wonderful it is?
yeah, instead of
Because they're going
showing
to
us
show
a
you the
Disney
bullshit
ripoff.
jobs. They're going to show you that a lot of the jobs that are done are kind of horseshit, right? Like writing emails and writing PowerPoints that nobody needed to watch.
Oh, I tried to use the PowerPoint slide deck creator thing a year
I'm
or
sure
two
that went
ago.
well.
It was below 101 level on the subject. I'm like, oh my
Okay, if
God,
we're gonna
anyone who's
talk
ever
about
like
AI all night, I'm
Googled
going to
this.
bed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I derailed this. Well, actually JFresh, but got me on a rant.
Well, yeah, he was
But
talking about, like the confidence in the market, and Girk was like, there needs to be a
catalyst
catalyst, and
and
JFresh was like, well, AI is horseshit.
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that hasn't been a catalyst for 2 years. I'm
That's true.
more. I mean, as far as the market crashing goes, I mean, we're seeing dispersion trading pick up. We're seeing people go long the underlying, short the index. We're seeing a ton of short vol coming in over the last couple of days. And unless that positioning that's been coming in, like sub 5,500, 5,600, blows up, I don't think we're going down quick.
I mean, I'm looking at the treasury market, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah, which is doing fuck all right now. So,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
If on Monday, you see the 10-year drop from 4% down to like 3.8%, then yeah, we're probably going to fucking crash.
Remember when we were all just like bored out of the stock market wasn't doing anything and TLT was moving like 1.5% a day? Those were weird days.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
You probably have some other questions. I'll step down. But
I don't
thanks,
think we
guys.
do, but yeah, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that might be it.
Oh.
I think we've answered all the questions in the universe, guys. Congratulations.
Well, I think we satisfied Ball Signal. He's gone.
Yeah, it's true.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh.
We have spies.
I'm not even a spy. Fucking dude.
We're gonna have to put it behind a paywall. Keep the spies out. At least have the spies sign up if they want access.
Well, I mean, I'd be, what if they want to get a subscription and, take the Gammastrike ride, then I'm not opposed to it.
They sell boot camps. So if what we're saying isn't helpful, you can sign up for Vol Signals boot camp.
Nice.
I knew.
Is that a mark?
Did anybody have any more questions?
I don't know.
It's just Grim2 posting gifs of my shirt coming off.
Oh shit, I've missed so much chat.
He's been trying to get my shirt off for so long. Oh, Nitu, here's a question for you. Is that the guy with the giant schlong? Moistly69 would like to know.
Which guy?
Moistly69.
What's it?
He would like to know, is Nitu that guy with the giant schlong? And now...
I don't know. Average for a 6'3" dude.
There's your answer.
Everybody in this Discord's over 6 feet tall.
Why are you
Why
under 6
aren't
feet
you?
tall?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa. Don't worry, JFresh. You and I'll stick together, okay? And we'll make sure we don't get trampled by these monsters.
I got my world rocked when I realized Dork was, like an inch or two taller than me.
That's something like that. I'm 5'10".
This little baby boy that I've been, this little baby chicken that I've been, nesting is bigger than me.
What were you feeding him? Quesadillas.
Yeah,
Quesadillas and pork chops.
a lot of growth
Yeah.
hormone.
Yeah, HGH.
Oh, there you go.
Trend.
Blue Bananas is 5'6".
All right. That's a little too short.
Immediately flips these like, oh, you fucking freakish giants. Oh, but that person's like a midget.
You cannot, as somebody over 6 feet tall, you absolutely can.
Fucking
even
ridiculous. I love how James just flipped the script on his bio so quick. He's like, you can call me Tall King.
Napoleon syndrome, just a little bit.
Everyone's the same height lying down.
No,
No.
some people are fatter.
Yeah.
That's clearly not.
Yeah, then I'm the shortest person.
No, Maple, you're fine. You're fun size. We've gone over this.
Well, I guess.
Wait,
I guess.
did Maple's chat say 3-4? Hold on, scroll down.
5.
By far.
Oh, only Jesus is 4'10".
There we go.
Oh, so they finally found those bones?
Pocket size.
Oh. He named
Grim2's really getting worked up in the chat right now.
I thought you were talking about.
How does
Yeah,
he
he
have
is.
so many gifs of me with no shirt on?
Well, we made a bunch of them. Well,
Yeah, I know
Scoopy
you
did.
guys did.
Hold
I
on.
miss him.
I do too.
What is Gamma Titties? It's the name of an indicator that we haven't released to anybody, nor will we.
I was jamming with Nuke. It's pixelated gamma bukake. So it's real fuzzy.
Yeah, sure. That's what it, yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to release it and it got immediately censored. DM me your secret indicator, please.
You don't. The stream would get demonetized so fast with that.
Yeah, I can't risk that. Napoleon wasn't that short. It was British propaganda. He wasn't that short for the 1800s. He was still really short.
Everybody back then was malnourished.
Not Napoleon.
Even Napoleon, he probably had some sort of deficiency. And they didn't know about it.
We didn't fortify the foods.
Right, exactly.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. I'm waiting for a question.
I really don't know.
I'm gonna pick somebody out of the audience. Diaper hands. What's your question? Ask a question, or we're just gonna start kicking people one by one.
If they don't have a question, we kick them. When will Tesla and the other live data be available? We're working on it.
It looks nice today. We're making progress. It wasn't perfect, but didn't look like shit.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's not just developing the live data and getting the live data where we want it. It's hooking that live data into everything on our front end.
Yeah.
So, a lot of stuff. Probably, let's say tentatively, we might be testing things in like with you guys in like 6 weeks or so.
Oh, I hope it's before that. We'll see.
We all do, but like, it's a lot of shit.
Will the market be red tomorrow? That's a good question. We didn't close below 56.50.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty flat. I think we've kind of hit the point where.
Yeah, tomorrow looks like, I would say it's probably going to be kind of boring. Unless we see like leverage swing really hard one way or the other after open.
Because at this point, like, there's not really any saving.
What's futures doing?
Kurt, JFresh, I have a question.
Boring.
So with the AM expiry and all the stuff moving off, how might that affect the Greeks on the SPX chain? Like specifically gamma neutral on the monthly. Like could we see that actually shift tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like significantly?
Yeah. There's a lot of delta falling off. It's a quarterly expiry, so it's a big deal. Quad witching.
1.3 trillion in delta tomorrow. Most delta on the market. Which, yeah,
We're probably going to see gamma neutral move up or delta neutral move up.
There's a big sort of
No,
deficit.
what about gamma neutral? What's that?
Gamma neutral is so far out of the money right now. It's like not even worth talking about.
What is it? What's the one that we're hanging around at?
Delta
Sorry,
neutral. Monthly delta
I'm
neutral.
sorry. I meant that. That's what I meant. Sorry, I'm on mobile. Your screen is teeny tiny. There.
No worries.
Oh, you're not even showing Gammastrike.
Yeah, I'm not even showing Gammastrike right now. I'll pull it up. Yeah, so I got monthly delta neutral is like 56.76 going into tomorrow. So another slight decline. But Gamma Max is starting to go up again, which usually isn't the most bullish thing. Yeah, I don't know. If Gamma Max were going up and we were going up like day over day, I'd feel a lot better about that. But I mean, look at where Delta is. Like a ton of that is gonna fall off, right? You know, Gamma is still like negative. Like Gamma exposure is still negative 33.67 billion. Like this is just not look good.
So DN's gonna go. Should shift up after tomorrow because
yeah, we should see it. We should see it probably move up a little bit because all of that in the money delta on puts is expiring. I don't know which side it's falling off on more because there's a bunch of like in the money out of the money puts and in the money calls that are falling off too. Like there's like a shitload of the 4,000 and 5,000 strike that are falling off. So that could, you know, swing things a little bit the other way. There's a lot of contracts there, a few 100,000. So
only a few 100,000.
It's a lot.
No, yeah,
I think it's like 3.5 or 350,000.
Wow. All right, that's a real question. Did anyone else come up with anything?
I don't know. Anybody got macro?
I'm actually completely sober, Maple. Like, sorry to crash your party. I am completely sober.
Can we kick diaper hands?
Diaper hands hasn't asked a question
because he didn't ask you a question. He did. He said, "When will Tesla and other live datas be available?"
That's true. Okay, diaper hands stays.
Okay, the next one I'm gonna pick is diaper hands. That's a bullshit question. No, I'm gonna pick.
Buff Dan has one over in the YouTube chat. So for the simple-minded, is GS fairly user-friendly? I know the basic Greeks and stuff, but my main worry about jumping into it is, am I smart enough to understand it to make a difference?
Well,
have you read the docs?
Yeah, have you read the docs?
See what they do to your downstairs.
Yeah, if the docs make you rock hard, then you're ready to paper trade it and test it.
Just confuse you and make you, then you're not ready. So read the docs. The docs need a facelift, but the bones are there.
I like Lit Spaceman's testimonial. I've blown $120 in a month on dumber shit.
Get that on the website.
Yeah, we should.
It's true.
I'm not bringing you back up here again, Otter. Stop being an attention whore.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, the tables are forever missing.
You probably thought of a really good question right when he got off.
The tables are missing, or the figures are missing, because they're supposed to be interactive, and I don't know how to insert JavaScript into a Markdown in Next.js, so I'm waiting for our front-end guy to have some bandwidth. He's got a lot on his plate.
People have blown well over $120 on zero DTs, thousands of dollars on zero DTs, and are still too cheap to get Gammastrike. I mean, so far, we have a really biased audience, but everyone's loved it. I just did it because my wife called, and I always ask the best questions. We got some good ones in there.
We do get, and any feedback we get that's critical, we usually take it pretty seriously because we assess it and usually we agree with you. So I hope we're being somewhat responsive.
Yeah.
GS is too expensive. Proceeds to trade thousands in zero TTs. That's like me.
This is a trap. We're not talking about AI again, but I guarantee you, your cloud AI is not going to do what we need. It's too complex. It will screw it up.
Yay me. I'm around the 2 something right now. Alright, you sold me on it. Fine, I'll get it in the morning. Welcome aboard, Buff Dan.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him.
We got him. Where's the... Oh, wait, where's our sound bites? God damn it.
No, that's
We're in the wrong Discord.
Yeah. Ooh, I have the perfect video. Buff Dan using Gammastrike.
People are just like arguing. This is like the SPX chat, except no poopy pants.
That makes it exponentially less controversial.
Yeah. Maybe I should time poopy pants out for a week. And Dawn. Because if I time out poopy pants, I have to time out Dawn. I don't make the rules.
Yes, you literally do.
No. But that is one of the rules I made. It seemed fair. They both annoy me equally, so I wanted to tie them to each other.
How to use Auto Explorer.
Are you
First, start a
someone getting yelled at? Are you listening to porn, JFresh?
He's probably watching a tutorial video on Pornhub.
He's watching a tutorial video on how to do his taxes on Pornhub.
I mean, they get paid more on Pornhub.
I was looking for this. I was looking for this video. This is Buff Dan using ChatGPT or using Gammastrike tomorrow.
Nice. No, JFresh isn't allowed to watch Pornhub in Texas.
That's true. I can't. Well, I can, but I have to like give them. No, can't.
Hit it, Joe.
Hit it, Joe.
We need that on the soundboard, Gherk.
Quick question: why Q gamma curve always fucked up? Q?
Q? What is Q? We don't have Q.
Obviously, it's.
He definitely means Q. What the fuck is this shit?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if it's still screwed up on Monday. So
yeah.
as you get really close to a huge expiration, and as gamma collapses around strikes, then you start to see just a bunch of spikes everywhere where there's a bunch of OI.
Yeah, and we've mostly gotten all this weirdness, sussed out. So
let's remind us on Monday if it still looks like shit. Then
this is what I need. Actually, this is what I need all you guys to do, because you can see here, this gamma curve is just perfectly fine, but also Q. And so what I need you guys to do as a community is band together and just tag Dork all the fucking time and say win V2. You got it. Digginout's already got it figured out. Good job, Digga.
Oh wait, is this in dev?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fine in dev.
Oh, so Dork screwed up. All right.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, it's
Well, what
as
I
we
said is still
iterate.
plausible. If you do ever see that, either Dork screwed up or Gamma's collapsing around strikes with high OI
Yeah,
near a large X. Obviously, Dork screwed up.
yeah, I suck. No, just honestly, we are currently pushing everything through as fast as we can. I think we are really close to feeling good about it. It's just a few more.
Stop iterating and just release
No,
the
we're not.
goddamn thing.
We're not iterating at this point. We're just watching it go, and then we're like seeing how it turns out. And then we're like, oh, there's this warning. What does it mean? We should figure that out before we just go and silence it, right? Like that kind of shit.
How many of those you got left?
Like one or two.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll be getting V2
really
out pretty
close.
quickly, I think.
Once those go away. Once those go away in my mind.
V2 is, I will tell you
heart,
guys, V2 is not something that's going to be like pushed to beta first. It's just going to be released to everybody.
It's just going to show up, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like the marketing team is a new hire. You could take that up with the marketing team.
Yeah, we have a lot of marketers.
We have like so many marketers, and they have no job right now.
No, I will not get a good. Actually, I am literally getting a good mic soon.
Yep.
But no, the problem is I turned my crisp too high because my kids are people.
Yep.
Yeah, they like to scream at each other.
Define good mic. He's gonna get the same mic as me, so you guys can never hear what he's saying. It's my ultimate plan to make everybody blast the volume and then just play everything outside of me talking really, really loudly.
Stagflation, we actually confirmed it's the dork excuse is not an excuse. It is Dork's fault.
You need growth hackers. Well,
it is me. I will own this. I own this like 100%.
Yeah, our HR is a 6-month-old. So if there's any complaints, you can submit them to Barl.
Yeah, all explicit sexual.
His inbox is completely full of Dork's just diary at this point.
Well, every time we hit one of the soundboard buttons, a form gets auto-generated and placed on Barl's desk.
Yeah. Nepotism? Yeah, he is. He is a nepo hire.
And Barl can't read, so the pile's getting pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl's having trouble keeping up reading it to Barl and trying to get him to sign it, and also eat his applesauce at the same time.
You are GI Maple, but not because you're a female. It's because you're too short. for us tall king, right, guys?
Right.
What are you talking about?
All of us as a group being tall kings, right, guys? High five.
Yeah, high five.
Wait, now I want to take bets on how old Barl's going to be when he's taller than Jay Fresh.
You guys are both so much shorter than me.
Yeah, Gherk, you're like 6'5", you're like 6'10" or some shit, but you've got hands the size of like an infant's hands, or you're 3 feet tall with giant hands.
I would say it's not a competition.
I'm 3 feet tall with giant hands.
It's literally like one of the only competitions in like feral humanity that is actually like measurably proven.
Wait, you going for the evolutionary psychology thing?
Height matters. I think people like me should have been eradicated from the gene pool long ago.
Well, they were, but
that's ridiculous. Think about like you living in the caveman days, just diving in and out of the brush, you know, working your way through like dense forest. Nobody would have ever been able to get to you.
Or picking shit up off the ground all day because you're looking for berries because you're hungry.
Because you're on your hands and knees like a cuck.
Exactly. Oh, we have a question. We have a question from.
Oh shit! A person.
Senor Mangoes.
Me too. My wife is.
Me too has a question too.
5'5", so.
Oh, hello, fine sirs.
How you doing, man?
I was just wondering. I'm doing good. How about you, Gherk?
Doing all right, man.
I was just wondering. So, are there any effects tomorrow on the market from the DivX type thing with SPY? Because
Yeah, because the dividend tonight.
yeah, I'm just like, is some freaking whale gonna try to like capture the dividend and then just sell the open right away?
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because
it's
That's
it's
huge, though, dude.
yeah.
It's huge.
It's so like even like I mean the only people that can really take advantage of dividend arbitrage are massive institutions, but doing it on SPY is that like I don't know that's scary for even big banks.
Yeah, it would be like the meme of like the bouncer at the door, but it would be like JPM and Goldman Sachs like doing that to each other is what it would turn out to be.
Yeah.
yeah, I had to ask only because I saw that Avco had one too. There were a few other companies I saw all at the same time where I was like, oh well, I can see how they could try to
Individual
capture
companies,
it.
sure. Yeah, individual companies, sure, because they don't have huge, deep, fucking liquid markets, supporting them. Sure. But SPY, nah.
Hear me out. What if a bunch of people are also just hanging on to a lot of stocks to get that dividend, and then they're going to sell?
That's usually what happens after a dividend.
No, yeah, I don't think whatsoever it's bullish like intraday after 6:30. Like if something doesn't happen by 6:30, like in the overnight, I would expect it to be absolutely not.
Well, if
Absolute
it's
nothing burger.
Well, if it's SPY though, right? If we're talking SPY, no one's holding SPY for the dividend yield, so people aren't going to I mean, there might be a subset of people who do go, all right, got my divvy, time to sell. But a vast majority of long SPY holders aren't necessarily in it for the dividend yield.
Vast
'Cause it's
majority
like
of
what?
long SPY holders sold 4 weeks ago.
Okay, Gherk, I'm trying to be
I'm just
conservative. Yeah, you're right. But
you know what
but
didn't
people who are still
happen?
long.
SPY didn't fucking cock rocket into its dividend, which means that there wasn't a lot of there probably wasn't a ton of short interest sitting on it.
Yeah.
So we probably saw a lot of the short interest pull out over the last week, which could explain our bounces. And if those shorts may come back in following the dividend, because now they don't have that exposure to having to. If you're short the underlying, you have to pay out the dividend.
Well, also, if you're short the options, you're exposed to the dividend as well.
Yeah. Well, via pricing, but yes.
Yes, right. Well, if you want to get into a position, it's best to wait, right? Until that exposure is gone or pick the expiries after it.
Dork likes Cuckold's pasta? Huh.
What is that?
I don't know.
Is that a pasta brand?
I think Carl would be more into that.
I need to know more about this. What?
Barl help?
Old.
He's sleeping. He's a baby. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wait, did you have more questions, Senior Mangoes?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's okay. We just ignore us and interrupt us.
We tend to get sidetracked.
Yeah, we all have really, really bad ADHD.
Senor Mangoes, do you know what Cuckold's pasta is? I don't really want to Google that.
I'm gonna Google it right now. I don't care.
Oh no, you broke up while asking me that question, but I got part of that.
Let me turn my crisp down.
Yeah, I was just wondering
Holy
if you guys
shit.
had it.
It is a real
you
thing.
guys are pretty. Oh boy.
But he's still on the Cuckold's pasta. I'm sorry.
I was
delicious.
just wondering, you guys are pretty technically inclined, and I know that some of you guys code and stuff for the Gammastrike website or the program.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering if you guys have any opinions on the long-term value of quantum and just its overall hype, only because I feel like if you're short Nvidia, I wouldn't be surprised if you've considered shorting quantum. Only because, I mean,
I don't know what, like, I would short quantum but I don't know what to short because nobody has a quantum computer.
It's just the same shit.
Microsoft's come out with some pretty cool things that have at least proven out some things that were not obvious that could be proven, that were pretty critical for like the future roadmap of quantum, but it's still so early to tell. I mean, even just like really what the utility of quantum computing is going to be, other than like cracking hashes and shit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I would short
This
instead of quantum.
this really lazy narrative of, quantum's just going to be able to solve all of the hardest problems that take us years now and seconds is not true. So it's still going to have the issue of what do we use it for. That doesn't mean we shouldn't keep pursuing it and researching it. And I think Microsoft has done some really cool things, and other people have done cool things in that space, Google and others. But yeah, I personally haven't really seen a whole lot of huge, like, yeah, people are talking about it, but it doesn't seem like people are ready to just like switch over and pump quantum, because if you don't remember, we already pumped quantum like 3 years ago. So I think people are probably less likely to be like, until there's some sort of narrative that says quantum is imminent, and then it catches on and everyone's like, it's going to change the world, and we do fucking AI 2.0.
Once you start seeing news articles about like how they haven't regulated quantum computing enough and it's a danger to us all, that's when you need to go long.
And like if we don't do more, China's gonna beat us in the quantum race.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
I will say that if we ever do get actual quantum computing, just short Bitcoin, because that shit's going to zero.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a great point.
It's going to get infinitely. It's not that everyone's going to sell. Well, it is that, but also the quantum Bitcoin miners are going to dilute it straight to zero.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you'd have to adjust the protocol to be resistant to quantum attacks.
Yeah, and until then, it'd be diluted every day.
This is like the same thing with. I promise.
Wouldn't somebody just crack everyone's wallets and take all the Bitcoin?
That's the problem. But but you can make a resistant protocol that's. But here's the problem: is that like, it's the same problem with AI. You watched Jensen's keynote speech the other day, and he's like talking about the greatness of now the AI can reason. And his demonstration, the only example that he could come up with to demonstrate to us how amazing AI is after 2.5 years is, look, here's the one that doesn't think, it got the answer wrong, and here's the one that does think, it got an answer that's correct. And the question was, if I'm putting 8 people around a table at a wedding, and these are the criteria for the optimum seating, how should I seat these 8 people at a table? It's like, what does this do? What's it for? Right? And so
planning
it's the same
weddings.
thing with quantum.
It's a big industry.
Quantum. What's it for? What's quantum for? Right? Okay, it breaks hashes.
Folding
Great.
proteins.
There's value there. But what else does it do? Well, it calculates things. It uses, superposition and all these other quantum effects to calculate multiple states at the same time, so it can calculate things fast. But okay, but you still have to come up with like the algorithms that are compatible with that to actually solve problems of value. So what are those algorithms? What are the types of problems that it can solve? And that just isn't there yet. So it's the same problem. It's like, what does it do? And maybe we'll figure it out. But since we don't know now, I'm not interested.
No, but you can fold the protein 2 different ways at once. You can't brute force it, but you can. Quantum computing would definitely speed that up.
I mean, quantum computing theoretically could, to some degree, replicate some of those processes, but
yeah, I'm not. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that it's very much in the very rough early stages of any of this stuff. So, like Jay Fresh said, we may end up with a hammer and just standing around looking for nails.
Yeah, absolutely. It was weird to me that one of the quantum companies
probably just use more useful hammers.
Yeah, one of the quantum companies actually on their earnings call was like advertising their Bitcoin mining speeds or whatever. Saying that they're like 15% faster. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, aren't you guys technically a threat to Bitcoin? Like when the quantum news came out, all the cryptos went down. So I don't know why they'd be advertising as a use case for crypto mining.
Because you can solve the hash faster. If you actually had quantum computing, I mean, you'd be able to solve the hash like instantly. But they're probably just full of shit because it's not really quantum computing. Solve the hash faster, and you can hack it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can
I
make
only
so many prime numbers. It'd be amazing how many prime numbers you can come up with.
Some people say they've never seen so many prime numbers.
Yeah, dude, these the biggest prime numbers. So many digits, all the digits.
The biggest.
People are envious of our digits, but they're ours. Beautiful digits.
Our beautiful American digits.
Yes. We are naming these the American primes.
We should come up with an imperial system for prime numbers.
They're called prime numbers. Oh, right. Super primes.
Cut the stream. We don't need Dork doing Trump impressions. Yeah, I think that's also time to call it a night.
You're probably right. We've run out of questions here. I mean, okay, so Senior Mangoes, thank you for the questions. Yes, quantum computing is very exciting to think about, but as with any new technology, it's always healthy to manage your expectations. So if you hear of a company spouting, leaps and bounds of progress, always look at that with some degree of scrutiny. But there's a bunch of companies out there. Like JFresh said, Microsoft is definitely one of the ones on the forefront of this technology, but Google's right there too. So those major tech companies, sort of are they have the money to be able to spearhead that sort of a technological push. So I would be looking at those if you are bullish on quantum, but right now the multiples are still just so crazy from AI that, if you want to pay for quantum, you are already paying for AI, right? So now you're thinking quantum plus AI, right? So just some stuff to chew on.
It's a really fast,
Yeah.
useless LLM.
Right.
Yeah, I only asked because I had seen like stocks like Rigetti when they were at like $1, and then they went to like $20, and I was just like, "This is absurd. This is gonna go like straight down eventually." But I just had to ask because I was like, if there's any application, I wouldn't want to do anything like short against it. But
Well,
like something like
trying to short a sentiment cycle is never like
yeah,
a good thing.
Here's the problem, because from an application perspective, they're still so far away from anything that could ever hit a commercial space and make any money that, I mean, it's pure speculation at this point. I mean, it's no different than Bitcoin or AI. And so trying to rationalize price action based on like expectations.
one for you.
But Graham,
Does Grammy need extra ginger too? I didn't know they put them both in the same roll.
Ginger too, so.
Oh,
I didn't know
have
they
this
put them both in the
conversation.
same thing. I thought we would have more ginger generally.
How much ginger do you have? Hold on, how much ginger do you have?
Yeah, I need to know this now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Gherk.
No worries. I want to know more about your
you have
ginger.
Yeah, how much ginger do you have?
Yeah, we need to. This is important.
It's because of sushi. My mom's mad that they didn't give us more ginger. They
Assholes.
they put two sushi rolls in the same container, so it was a whole problem. I just wanted to say real quick before I eat, I did want to say thank you for helping me so much this week, because I did in the week at least shorting that whole frickin' bounce yesterday that was completely retarded. I wrapped that up at 6:30 with like $200 overnight, so I was very, very happy.
That's awesome, man.
Oh.
I'm glad to hear it.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
You got it, man. I'll catch you
All
later.
right.
Enjoy your sushi.
Yeah, enjoy.
No,
your
for
Yeah,
sure.
sorry about the ginger.
No, yeah, no, it's too bad. I'll catch you guys
Write them
later
a
in the
scathing
stream.
review on Yelp.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, their happy hour will redeem that. Their
All
happy
right.
hours. All right, have a great night, guys. I'll keep listening, but I don't want to
You
interrupt.
too.
Later, dude.
It's all good. Thank you. Well, I'm glad the ginger situation wasn't a catastrophe.
Well, now there's still just one ginger situation that's a catastrophe here.
Yes. That's correct.
I live with some of the chat's moms, but not mine. But, well, in case you care, she said hi.
Catastrophe. Ha ha ha.
I came very close to Ginger getting there. Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought someone was about to die.
I'd be
I mean,
fucking...
I can see.
I'd be pissed if they put my sushi rolls in the same container. What if one of them had eel sauce? Disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like
You
having your
snob.
food touch. Like those people who put all their Thanksgiving dinner on their plate at once. It's fucking
Do you use
psychopaths.
Do you use soy sauce with your sushi, Gherkin?
Am I like real sushi? I
Yeah.
do, but I have like a little tiny brush to paint it over the fish with.
Oh, that's sociopathic. That's
Oh, you're a fucking psycho, Gurk.
I am not.
How many bodies are in that freezer again?
I do eat nigiri. I don't like ever
gently,
eat sushi rolls
gently
usually.
brushed with a thin layer of soy sauce.
Is that what you do with your human flesh? Is that how you eat it? You brush the soy sauce on the arm.
I really
Like
wish
the
you
arm
guys
of the
would stop
gyri.
accusing me of cannibalism. This has gone on for like 4 years.
All you have to do is stop eating people.
I won't even talk to people that don't use bidets. I'm definitely not going to eat one of them.
Oh god.
It puts
Eating
the
a
sauce
ass.
on its flesh. Moped knows what's up. Hashtag bidet gang. Because they're not clean. Exactly.
I mean, you could just dip them in some bleach real quick and then hang them out.
Ew. See, that's psychopathic. You're creating the
It's
scenario
just
in your
sterile
head.
technique, okay?
You're just projecting
Come
your shit
on.
onto me.
Look, I mean, if I wanted to be clean, I'm gonna butcher something.
You don't dip your
Want
food
to
in
be
bleach.
Being clean is
How do you know
overrated.
that?
I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe that's why it all looks so pale.
I want to be just a pig and shit.
Torque washes his pork chops.
Dork cooks his pork chops in the dishwasher with.
I could be talking to cooler people right now. I'm gonna go. I'm done with this. Let's end this shit.
Yeah, I gotta go too.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll catch you
let's
guys
call it.
later.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
hanging out,
night.
guys. Thanks for having us, bud.
Peace.
Later.